Okay. In lesson 15, we were using rectangular models in order to multiply non-unit fractions. And A was done for us, so we're going to go ahead and start with B. And we're going to go ahead and draw a model, and we're going to start with a rectangle. And the first one says 2/5. Okay, so I'm going to do 2/5. And I'm going to go ahead and break this into fifths. I'll draw another one out here side. And we're going to shade in 2 out of the 5. Now, the other way, I've got 3/4. So I'm going to split this one into halves, and then I'm going to split those halves into fourths. And now I'm going to shade in 3 out of 4 of them. So this one, 2, 3. Now, what I'm looking for the product are going to be all the ones that are double hatched. There's one there, another one here, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my numerator. And we know this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 4, so it'd be 6/20. Now, if we're doing the multiplication, we know 2/5 times 3/4 equals 6/20. On C, we're going to do the model. And once again, we're doing 2/5. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I'm shading in 2/5. And the other way, we're going 4/5. Let me write 2/5 on top. I like labeling them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're shading in 4 out of 5 of them. There's 2/5, 3/5, and 4/5. And once again, we're looking for the ones that were highlighted by or shaded by both fractions. And we can see this time we're going to have 8 of them. So our numerator will be 8, and we have a 5 by 5, so this can be 20/5, 8/25. If we multiply across, 2 times 4 is going to be 8, 5 times 5 is 25. So the model matches the standard algorithm. Then we're going to do one more model, and I think everybody's pretty much got the models after this. We do 4/5, 1, 2, 3, well, that's a big 4, but we'll leave it that way. And the other way, we have 3/4, and I like splitting it down the middle and then splitting that into fourths. Now, I just did a no-no. Okay, I should have shaded in the 4/5 first. Okay, actually, I didn't need another one in there. There's my 5/5. But our 4/4, here's 1/4. There's 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. Now, coming vertically, we're going to do 3/4. So there's 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. Now, once again, we're looking at everything that was crossed by both fractions. There's 4, 8. Okay, now that we've, and 12. It says that if you need to, go ahead and draw. And then we know we have a rectangular fraction model, but I think that's going to be, in my examples, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus more on just being able to factor out some of these, make it easier. So I'm going to write them on top. Here I got 5 times 3 and 6 times 10. Now I can see here that if I multiply them out, I'm going to get 15/60. And you see that I can take 5s out of here, so that's 60ths. And so 5 will go into 15 3 times, 5 will go into 60 12 times. So we have 3/12. But I can see I can still take 1/3 out of here, and I take 4. So this would be equivalent to 1/4. Okay. Now, to show what we can do, we have 3 times 4 over 4 times 5. I can just take my 4's out because I'm multiplying and dividing by 4. That's going to give me an answer of 3/5. The more we can do to factor out, to just basically use basic math facts, is the better we're going to be. So doing this one, if I rewrite it, 5 times 5 over 6 times 8, as you can see, I don't have any common ones I can factor out on this one. Okay, so I've got to go 25, 40, 48. Okay. Now, to look to see if I can simplify it, I know they can't be reduced by, they don't have 2 in common because they're both not even. 3's, they're not, because if I add the 2 digits, 2 and 5, it's 7. That's not a multiple of 3. They're not a multiple of 4 because they're not multiples of 2. And 5, they have to end in 0 and 5. So this is already in simplest form. If we go to the next one, now if I rewrite this to 3 times 5 over 4 times 12, okay, I can take out, or multiply it out, I'm sorry. I got 15/48. So 15/48. Now once again, I can see that it's not, I can't divide it by 2. 3, now 5 plus 1 is 6, that's a multiple of 3. 4 plus 8 is 12. So I know they're divisible by 3. So 15 divided by 3 would be 5, and 48 divided by 3 is going to be 16. So we end up with 5/16. Now, I want to show you this one over here again, but see all this work we did here? What if I did this? 3/4 times 5, and we did this 12, just rewriting it. Now 3 I go into 3 one time, 3 I go into 12 4 times. Now when I multiply it, there's 5/16. Look at all those steps I just changed from having to do the reduction. So let's try that over here. 8 times 2 over 9 times 3. Now, there's no common factors in this one, so I'm going to end up with 16 over 27. Okay, and if I check this, they're not even, so 2 and 4 is no good. 6 and 1 is 7, not multiple of 3. And the last one is not in 0, 5, so it's in lowest form. In this one, 3 times 2 over 7 times 9. 3 I go into 3 one time, 3 I go into 9 3 times, and now when I multiply it out, I end up with 2. 7 plus 3 is 7 times 3 is 21. Okay, every morning, Haley, get my pen on here. Every morning, Haley goes to school with a 1 liter bottle of water. She drinks a quarter of the bottle before school and starts, and 2/3 of the rest before lunch. What fraction of the bottle does Hale drink after school starts, but before lunch? So, first off, let's draw ourselves a tape diagram. And we know this is 1 whole, 1 liter. And it says he drinks 1/4 before school. Now, it says she drinks 2/3 of the rest before lunch. Well, we know this here is 3/4 is what is left. So if I come down here again and draw a new tape diagram, and it says I drink 2/3 of it. And I know this is equal to 3/4 of a liter. So basically I'm looking for 2/3 of 3/4. So if I got 2/3 of 3/4, that equals 2 thirds times 3/4, which when I rewrite it is 2 times 3 over 3 times 4. I can take out this common one for 1. Oh, I'll take out both 3's. Now here I can take out a 2 into 1, and a 2 will go into 4 2 times. So that gives us 1/2. So this here is, the 2/3 is equal to 1/2. So that means each one of these is 1/4. And that makes sense since there was 3/4. So the question was, how much do you drink after school starts but before lunch? So we know we have 1/4 plus, and we have 2/4, because these one right here is 2/3 of 3/4. So that's going to give us 3/4 of a liter. So she drinks 3/4 of a liter before lunch. How many milliliters are left in the bottle after lunch? Well, if I have 1 liter, 1.0 liters, and I subtract 3/4 of a liter, I'm going to get 1/4 liter. But now it's saying how many milliliters. So 1/4 of a liter, and if I'm going to 1/4 of a liter, I know that 1/4 of a liter would be 0.25, just like a quarter of a dollar, quarter of a liter. Okay. Now to change that, I know that equals 0.25 times 1 liter. And I know milliliters are 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. So I'm going to change that times 0.25. And I know if I multiply by 1,000, I'm going to shift the decimal point 3 places to the right. So I'm going to end up with 250 milliliters left in the bottle. Number 4, Moussa delivered 3/8 of the newspapers on his route for the first hour and 4/5 of the rest the second hour. What fraction of newspapers did he deliver in the second hour? Okay, so here's our tape diagram. And we know the whole is just 1. It's his whole delivery. And it says that he does 3/8 of it in the first hour. And he says 4/5 of the rest. Well, the rest is equal to 5/8. So now I'm going to come up here. I'm going to redo it. And I know it says 4/5 of the rest. So I'm going to split this into fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And he does 4/5 of the rest. So we know this is equal to 5/8. So we know it's 4/5 of 5/8, which equals 4 times 5 over 5 times 8. I can take the 5's out. 4 are going to 4 one time, 4 are going to 8 two times, so that equals 1/2. So this is going to equal 1/2. So he delivers 1/2 in the second hour. Okay, I know this one's already done for us, but I'm going to go ahead and go through it. Okay, and I'm going to come down here with it because they've already written it up here. So we're going to do our tape diagram. And we know the top is a unit of 1. And it says she used 3/5 of the spinach on a pan for a party. So I'm going to put up here that she did this here is 3/5, and it's pan for party. And it says 3/4 of the remaining spinach for a pan for a family. Well, we know there's 2/5. That's what's remaining. So if I come down here and redo another one, and it says use 3/4 spinach for a family. I split this into fourths, and she's using 3 out of 4 of them. So I know this is 2/5 of 3/4, which equals 6/20. And I can reduce that down by 2, which will equal 3/10. So that's how much they used. So now I want to know if she used the rest to make the spinach. So I can see that 3/5, which was used, plus the 3/10, it's going to be all the spinach that's used. And I can change this because the equivalent fraction for 3/5 would be 6/10 plus 3/10, which equals 9/10. And that means, subtracting from the whole, there would be 1/10 left for the salad. Now B says if Rose uses 3 pounds of spinach to make a spinach pie for the party, how many pounds of spinach did Rose make to use the salad? Okay. So she used 1/10 of the spinach. So if I take 3 pounds times 1/10, which equals 3 times 1/10, which equals 3/10 of a pound. So she used